All right, guys, so we are going to look at creating, yes, there are more notes, but this is your kind of like a finished product that's complete with color coding regarding the canon of proportion for drawing a profile portrait. So this is an example of our end product, and it is the portrait in profile. So the first thing you're going to start off with is we're just going to draw an egg that's kind of at an angle. So you can go ahead and kind of draw an angle on your paper like that. And then you're going to do an egg shape. And remember, you're trying to draw with your whole arm, not your wrist, your whole arm. And my egg's fatter over here than it is over here. And I'm keeping my lines light till I get them right. And I'm going to make this a little bit bigger and then this a little bit thinner. And now I have my basic little egg shape, my basic egg shape. It's taking up a decent amount of room on my paper because it's going to help me. And I'm going to clean up my egg now. And most of this we're not going to use. It later on, we don't need it. So this is just a foundation for you to analyze space. And the other thing to remember or note is that everybody is different. So when you're thinking about this canon of proportion, it's kind of like a checklist for looking at what makes features unique when you're creating these proportions. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to divide my egg in half vertically. And now I'm going to divide it in half horizontally. Again, this is just a sketch. We're keeping our lines light. Now I'm going to measure this point right here. And I'm going to make sure that it's even with the top, the highest part of what our head is going to be. And so that's even. It might take you a couple of tries. Remember, I kind of have a different practice with spatial recognition since I've been doing this for so long. You might have to do it a couple of times. And I'm going to go ahead and get rid of my angle now because that was basically just to get our egg on there correctly. So that is the center of the head. Now we're going to go ahead and divide it into 4 sections from the chin down. So this is going to be our bottom section. We're going to divide that in half. So maybe a little bit lower. And I overshot it that time. Remember the tip of the pencil to where you hold. That's your space that you're. And it's not about making those measurements perfect. It's just about getting them knocked in as best as you can. Go ahead. So now we have our 4 sections of our profile. So this top one up here, this is going to be the hairline. That is where your hair meets your forehead. And all this is basically top of head to here is hair. Then we have the halfway line, which becomes the top of your ear and where your eyes are. So your eyes are going to be about right here. And in profile, you can represent the eye as a V. And then this is about, your ears might go a little bit higher, but essentially that's where the ear is they're going to fit. The top portion will be this halfway point. So with the eyes, one kind of rookie mistake when people start drawing faces in general is they always put them up too high. Your eyes are actually in the middle of your head. And I encourage you to go walk into a bathroom, find a mirror, put some kind of measurement tool in front of your eyes, and then put your hand on the very top of your head, not the top of your forehead, the top of your skull, the highest point of your skull, right here, not over here, up here. And you'll see that your eyes are in the middle of your head. They're not up here. A lot of people draw eyes where your eyebrows or your forehead is supposed to be instead of in the proper place, which is in the middle of the head. Okay, so now you know where the eyes are going to be, and this is going to be the eyelid. Then we can have some eyelashes. The lid goes around the eyeball. And then if you really want, you can go ahead and give yourself a little bit of a pupil in there. Remember, this is going to feel like a mannequin. We're not drawing a likeness of somebody right now. We're analyzing proportions. So it's going to feel a little bit alien. I'm going to go ahead and draw in the nose and mouth. So this is where we get our forehead, and your forehead then goes around the eye area, and everybody's forehead is going to come out at a different length. And then your nose is going to come down and probably hit about right, hit that quarter line here to create lips. Your bottom lip usually comes out a little bit further than your top lip, and then you'll get a chin. And wherever the end of your mouth is where the bottom of your ear is going to be. So if you take your finger and you put it at the corner of your eye, wash your hands first, but put it at the corner of your eye and then move it back into space, you're going to find that it touches where your ear hits your head. And then if you do the same thing with your the corner of your lip, you put your finger right here and then draw it, you'll find that it touches your earlobe. So now here, I'm just kind of throwing in some little areas where, and I think in truth, now that I look at this, the nose is maybe a little bit low. I would bring that up just a tad. But when you're drawing a likeness, you want it to look like someone specific. You are measuring these things according to what that person, what that person's face is telling you. So you're observing and you're asking, what is the slope of that nose? How far out does that nose come from the face? Does their forehead come out here, or where does that end up? So you're using that information to analyze the proportions on that person, because we're all unique. But these little proportions, like where is the hairline, where the halfway point for the eye, making sure your ear is there. I mean, they might have small ears or big ears. Maybe you're drawing George W. Bush and you got to draw some big ears. Those are all things that you can check with these proportions. All right, and then we have our neck. Another big rookie mistake is people usually make the necks way too skinny. Your neck holds the most heavy bone in your body, which is your skull. It is an intense muscle. It is quite thick. If you put your hands on each side of your neck and on the front and back, think about how thick that is. You don't want that to, you don't want to diminish that. And so now we're going to go ahead and draw some hair on this person. It does sit on top of your skull. It's okay to give the hair some body. And we'll talk about adding value and texture to hair later. But voila, there you go. You have a basic portrait and profile so that those lips come right underneath this quarter line. So this is the third quarter right here. And then if you wanted to analyze that space, those lips are just above halfway in between the nose and the chin. All right, so, and generally you'll have some kind of reference when you're drawing a person. You're not going to just like make it up from scratch. Some of you might be ready to do that, but for most of us, we're fine just working with these basic proportions. So this is a profile portrait. Go ahead and title it. Profile portrait proportions.